Planes, trains, and automobiles. This is one of the busiest travel days of the whole year.
If something happens, it's kind of out of my control, so I just kind of go with the flow.
From the airport to the rail terminal, we'll show you how the holiday travel rush is going.
Shut it down! Shut it down!
Lawful demonstrations do not include protesting inside privately owned spaces.
Plus, police promise a crackdown on unlawful protests. Why demonstrators say they're missing the whole point.
I was hoping to get to 20 years.
She supports local artists, local jewelers. We're going to miss her so much.
And this nearly 2 decades old St. Clair West business is closing for good. Why a looming government loan repayment is part of the puzzle she could no longer make fit. Good evening, I'm Chris Glover. Thanks for joining us on the last Friday before Christmas. With only a couple of nights to go before the big day, today is statistically one of the busiest travel days of the year, and officials at Pearson estimate that 150,000 passengers moved through the airport today. That's quite a change from what we saw during last year's holiday rush, when there were delays, lost luggage, and just chaos at the airport. Anam Khan is live there for us tonight. And Anam, not that kind of scene tonight, but describe for us what you are seeing there at the airport.
Yes, it is a very different kind of scene. Arrivals is just jam-packed. There's a traffic jam here. It backs up all the way to Dixon Road. So if you're coming to pick someone up, you're going to be waiting for a very long time. Departures, however, is not like that. There are cars going through, but this kind of chaos, it's very different than last year's chaos when we saw planes not leaving itself. And we spoke to some travelers, and they learned a lot of lessons on what to pack, how to pack, and Pearson learned a lot of lessons as well. You know, they hired thousands of people in the last year, and they even came up with new systems to speed up travel. Many travelers arrived at the airport much earlier than usual today. Like Jack Sebin, flying to Minnesota this morning on one of the busiest travel days of the year.
If something happens, it's kind of out of my control, so I just kind of go with the flow.
Officials at Pearson say 1 million travelers are expected to use the airport this week. And after the chaos of last year's holiday travel, many people learned new lessons.
We switched to only carry-on bags because we don't trust that our luggage is going to make it to our destination otherwise.
Last year was mayhem. Snowstorms, flight delays for days, passengers stuck waiting for responses from airlines, and luggage. Lots and lots of luggage clogging up terminals. But officials at Pearson Airport expect this year to run smoothly. They purchased equipment to clear snow and hired thousands of new employees.
And so we just ask people to find ways to make their time here as effective and quick as possible, despite some of the unknowns and the things that they can't control.
They're also telling passengers to use their new tools to speed up travel, like booking a spot in the security line and speeding up U.S. Customs through an app. While many will fly out of a busy Pearson Airport, regional train stations will also be packed. And Via says on time as well. Passenger Tad Moretti just likes the train's vibe.
It kind of lets me slow down in a busy world, and then environmentally, it's also way better.
Wasn't better for many Via Rail passengers last holiday, stranded for hours, almost up to a day, on a disabled train. Via had to cancel service along the Toronto-Montreal corridor for 4 days because of power outages, frozen switches, and a derailment. This year, Via is encouraging people to get to the station 30 minutes before departure.
No, I think it's all good. I mean, there's a awareness of public transportation. That's really good.
Yes, okay.
The way it should be.
Everything was perfect. The plane was on time. The layover was good, and they're in the train, so I'm excited to see them.
Chris, so getting to the airport or just driving around could be a challenge tomorrow, especially in the morning. Many municipalities are warning drivers to be cautious because they're expected to have a blast of freezing rain hit the region overnight.
All right, good tips for everybody to keep in mind, Anam, and it's nice to see that traveler that you talked to from France called our airport experience perfect. Love that. All right, thank you, Anam. Have a great night. And as we look live at the city tonight, that storm that Anna was talking about is starting to move through the region overnight, expected to last until late tomorrow morning. Now, for Toronto, a freezing rain warning is already in effect. Victor Paulo is monitoring the situation for us. Victor, up to 2 millimeters of ice buildup is expected with this storm.
Chris, you are right. It is going to be some slippery roads and some icy conditions because we do have that potential for freezing rain coming our way. Now, we do have that Colorado low, and that Colorado low is what's going to be bringing that mixed precipitation. A little bit of flurries, a little bit of rain, but in between all of that, if the temperatures stay below zero, the surfaces become frozen. Now, we do have a cloudy weekend ahead, and those cloudy weekends will lead to some warmer days. Remember that we're looking at our 3 and 7 day forecast because the average high this time of year is minus 0.1, and the average low is minus 7.8. Now, when we are taking a look at that Colorado low, this is what it's going to be bringing, as mentioned, a little bit of mixed precipitation our way. And that's going to be how we're starting our day on Saturday. And taking a look at our 3 to 7 day forecast, just a quick look at the 3-1 first. It's going to be highs of 3, 5, and 7. Your Monday is going to be a warm one with above seasonal temperatures. But stay tuned to Chris and I see what else is in store for your 3 and 7 day forecast. Over to you, Chris.
All right. Thanks, Victor. We'll talk to you again in just a few. Now to a warning from Toronto police. Officers have been instructed to crack down on unlawful demonstrations. The police service making that clear today in the face of a number of demonstrations since the Israel-Hamas war began. Patrick Swadden has the warning from police and what protesters think of it.
According to police, since October 7th, there have been 250 demonstrations in Toronto.
The vast majority of the protests have been lawful.
Toronto's deputy chief says police respect people's charter rights and that the role of the force is to facilitate lawful demonstration.
Lawful demonstrations do not include protesting inside privately owned spaces, which includes malls. Blocking critical infrastructures such as our highways.
Over the last 11 weeks, there have been many actions taken, like this sit-in at Union Station.
The history of protesting, and it's the only way to get a state who's not representing the interests of the masses to actually do that.
Activists say the constant pressure of protests calling for a ceasefire in Gaza played a role in Canada recently voting in favor of.
And we know that our politicians are feeling that pressure, and we've seen the power of the public to change the political narrative, and that's what keeps us going.
Police also say there's been an increase in antagonizing behavior towards officers. This exchange happened nearly 2 weeks ago. Police say one cop was attacked from behind, which led to an arrest. Video captured by demonstrators appears to show one officer's knee on the neck of a demonstrator. Police say that didn't happen and doubled down today.
So there's no concern about excessive use of force in this case?
No, the officers used as much force as was necessary.
You'll come near now, put your lay down on the floor. I'll lay you sleep. I'll put you 6 feet deep.
This video, which made rounds online, looked like a man was yelling at police. But the deputy chief clarifying today in that instance, officers were keeping someone away who was provoking the demonstrators.
The question of who they protect is not the Palestinian community or our allies or folks coming out against genocide. They protect the interests of the Canadian state, and those interests are clearly not aligned with our own because we are holding the state accountable.
More demonstrations are planned throughout the weekend. Police say it will enforce trespassing laws, but also give people an opportunity to leave. If not, they could be arrested. Patrick Swadden, CBC News, Toronto.
And speaking of arrests, Toronto police have arrested 2 more suspects in connection with the stabbing of an off-duty police officer earlier this month. The officer was stabbed in the hand on December 6th outside a Best Buy at the Scarborough Town Centre as he attempted to stop a robbery. A 47-year-old man was arrested in relation to the incident on Wednesday after that police pursuit through the city in a stolen U-Haul. Tonight, police say 2 more people are now under arrest. A 42-year-old woman and a 46-year-old man have been charged with several offenses, including robbery with a weapon and aggravated assault on a peace officer. Police are still searching for this man, 48-year-old Preston Caledon. He's wanted on the same charges as well as failing to comply with a probation order. 3 people were rushed to hospital, including one with critical injuries following an early morning crash in Caledon, the 3rd serious crash in the region this week. Peel paramedics say they responded to a collision between a transport truck and an SUV at around 4 a.m. near Highway 10 and Boston Mills Road. They transported a woman and 2 men to hospital. The woman is in life-threatening condition, while the 2 men have minor injuries. Police have charged a 19-year-old Mississauga man with impaired driving. Some disappointing news out of the St. Clair West neighborhood. A shop that's been in business for 16 years is closing its doors permanently. Talia Ricci went to find out why and learned the reasons are similar to the stressors facing many small businesses right now.
Thanks so much. You have a good day.
This is what Kim Klopp loves to do, and it's what she's been doing for 16 years.
I opened the store, and the idea was to replace your conventional products with environmentally friendly products.
And she says St. Clair West showed up, her shop collecting lots of loyal customers over the years. But COVID changed things, as it did for most business owners. Years later, though, it's just not getting better.
I had to make some serious decisions. You know, the economy is a huge driver of nobody was walking my door every time the interest rates went up. So I was like, how am I going to pay off my loan and go into a January, February, very quiet time of year?
The Canada Emergency Business Account Loan provided up to $60,000 to small businesses and nonprofits during the pandemic. It included partial loan forgiveness of up to 33%. The deadline to benefit from the partial loan forgiveness is January 18th.
We know from our surveying that about 25% of the businesses that took out the CBC loan do not believe they're going to be able to meet that deadline. We'd like to see that deadline taken from January 18th, 2024 and moved all the way to December 31st, 2024.
The federal government says it's already extended the deadline twice. It says businesses working to refinance their loan now have until March 28th, 2024 to benefit from the partial loan forgiveness, and that businesses that choose not to refinance will be automatically converted into a 3-year low-interest loan. But that looming loan deadline paired with rising costs and a shift in spending habits is just too much for many business owners.
To lose that matters. You're losing a little piece of your community.
I've been coming here for the whole 16 years. This is where I buy most of my gifts. Kim is a wonderful neighbor, a wonderful supporter of the neighborhood. I'm a local author. She's always had my books here to sell to customers. She supports local artists, local jewelers. We're going to miss her so much.
Klopp's message is to shop local over the holidays. She hopes that the person that takes over her space is a small business owner too.
And I would have absolutely stayed in business. I mean, I was hoping to get to 20 years and then reassess, because I love what I do and I love the community that I service.
Talia Ricci, CBC News.
Welcome back. This week, Toronto FC used the first overall pick in the MLS Super Draft to select Tyrese Spicer from Trinidad and Tobago. Growing up in poverty, he has persevered to reach the peak of North American soccer. And after spending the past 4 seasons in a small university town in Nashville, he says he is ready for the bright lights of our big city. Greg Ross finds out which Toronto celeb he's hoping will come watch a game.
The fact that he was selected #1 overall still hasn't fully sunk in.
I would never even think in my wildest dreams to be drafted #1 overall.
For the better part of the past 4 seasons, Tyrese Spicer has been living and playing soccer in the United States with Lipscomb University in Nashville. Today, the 23-year-old spoke to us from his home in Trinidad and Tobago, where he's celebrating with his family.
My mom was the most excited out of everybody because I know she sacrificed so much.
Spicer says as a kid, it was always his dream to play professional soccer, but he says the odds were stacked against him.
I came from a poor background. It was hard for me to even get cleats. Sometimes I'll have no cleats and I can't play, or my family will struggle to pay bills, or struggle to get food, and I wouldn't be able to eat and stuff sometimes.
Despite all of those obstacles, Spicer still managed to capture the attention of the coaching staff at Lipscomb University.
Every person I talked to in Trinidad, people that I trust, spoke very highly of him. He's a very humble, quiet, reserved person, but he's also very confident. He's very confident in his abilities.
And his now former coach believes Spicer has what it takes to play at the pro level.
His tools and attributes the things are there that would tell you this could be a pretty quick transition.
It may take some time for Spicer to get used to playing in bigger stadiums in front of much larger crowds, but even before stepping onto the pitch at BMO Field, Spicer says he's gotten a warm reception from fans.
I definitely got messaged by a lot of the fan pages just welcoming me.
Spicer says he's only been to Toronto once before. He's looking forward to trying new restaurants here and seeing his first Raptors game, where maybe he might bump into a Toronto legend.
I'd be seeing Drake as well, going to watch the games. I would definitely like to meet Drake as one time.
Spicer is scheduled to come to Toronto next month to meet with TFC staff and coaches. It'll be his first taste of a Toronto winter. He says he'll be packing his puffy coat. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Yeah, pack that puffy coat. Great idea, but not this December, and certainly not on Christmas Day next week. Right, Victor? No freezing temps and no snow.
You know, Chris, you are right. That white Christmas might not be coming our way in the GTA, but there is a chance for other people, of course, across our beautiful country to have that opportunity. But for right here in southeastern Ontario, it looks like nobody will be having a white Christmas, not even in Ottawa, where it's known to have a lot of snow. It looks like a lot of that cold is going to be over here on the Quebec side, as you do see the below seasonal temperatures. But for the majority of southeastern Ontario, as we will see on the map as well, it's going to be rain coming this weekend, unlike snow, and that snow will be giving us that white Christmas opportunity. But when it comes to tonight, there will be a chance of a bit of flurries to fall, but that's going to be mixed in with the rain. As you can see, it's going to be 1 degree tonight, feeling like -2. Now, as you do get closer towards the weekend, here's what it's looking like. Saturday, it's going to be a wet one mixed with a little bit of flurries. Now, that's going to mean when you're out there Christmas shopping, you want to take a little bit of extra precaution when you're driving or even walking on sidewalks. Surfaces can be slippery because that's going to bring some freezing rain with the temperatures closer to 0. Now, taking a bit of a look of how much rain is supposed to fall in the area. Well, here in the GTA, we're expecting around 6 millimeters to fall. Down in Windsor, around 8 millimeters. And that's anywhere between now and around 2 o'clock on Sunday. Now, looking at our 3- and 7-day forecast, as mentioned, unfortunately, it doesn't look like it will be a white Christmas because it's going to be a high of 3 degrees with a 60% chance of precipitation on Saturday. And that cloudy day on Sunday is going to be a high of 5, and Monday itself is going to be a high of 7 degrees. All temperatures which will cause any type of snow to melt. And your Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you can see that it's even more above seasonal temperatures. It's going to be 3 consecutive days of 7 degrees, and it's going to drop down to 5. And even the lows, looking at Sunday, is going to be a low of 3 degrees, Monday a low of 5, Tuesday a low of 6, and a low of 3 on Wednesday, and eventually it's going to drop down to negative with a -3 on Friday. Hope you all have yourselves a happy holidays and safe traveling when it comes to the weekend.